Welcome to Litquake on Lockdown. This is our second to last event we're doing for, am I not on there? I am not on there. I don't know why. You can probably hear my voice, but I don't know if you can see my face. But that's all right. I'll just keep talking because this is technology and this is what we come to expect. Thank you for joining us tonight for Afrofuturism, risen from a poet's son. I'm Jane Ganol from Litquake, and we want to welcome our partners at MoAD, the Museum of the African Diaspora, who did such a brilliant job of partnering on this event that this is our very first sold-out Zoom event. So thanks to MoAD and thanks to our wonderful participants. This is the second edition of our virtual series, which presents literary events twice a week, or has actually now from April through July. All programs begin at 6 unless otherwise noted, and our final event of the season will be Thursday night with Peter Orner. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram for the latest updates. This is our 21st year as San Francisco's Literary Festival, and we will be having a festival this fall from October 8th through 24th. Stay tuned for details coming soon. It will be a smaller festival, but a very dynamic one, and we're very excited to present it. Quick orders of business. Please feel free to ask the participants a question using the Q&A feature that you see at the bottom of the screen. You can also support the participants tonight by purchasing their books. You can go to MoAD's online bookstore or your favorite online indie bookstore or through bookshop.org. We also ask for your support of Litquake to allow us to continue doing these events. The Bay Area was already a precarious place for artists and authors and nonprofits, so we'd appreciate any donation you might care to make. So let's get on with the show. Afrofuturism, risen from a poet's son, explores the intersection of technology, science, and the arts, as well as culture of the African diaspora. In times of great uncertainty and under quarantine, this panel will explore ways in which Black writers reimagine the future. We're excited tonight to welcome Bay Area poets James Cagney, Tongo-Eisen Martin, Tureeda Mikell, and Thea Matthews, who is the moderator tonight. It was her idea that she brought to us way back in March, and we're thrilled to finally be getting it up on the screen. Thea Matthews was born and raised in San Francisco. She is a poet, scholar, and activist. She writes on the complexities of humanity, grief, and resiliency. She earned her BA at UC Berkeley, where she studied and taught June Jordan's program, Poetry for the People. Her work has appeared in the Atlantic Review, Tilde, Foglifter, the Rumpus, and many others. And she has been featured in many anthologies, including Still Here in San Francisco. And she has a brand new collection of poetry, Unearth the Flowers, which was published by Red Light Lit Press in June. And she was robbed of any kind of book tour, so we are thrilled to welcome her tonight. Thea Matthews, please take it away. Hello, Thea.
Hi, I'm here. I just can't turn on my video.
Oh, no.
And so, and here I am. Hello. Thank you so much, Jane, for the wonderful introduction. And welcome to everyone who is here, present, attending in the comfort of your own home. Here we are, you know, in times like these. I am just so grateful for the silver linings. And yeah, technology, whew. I do not take electricity and my internet connection for granted at all. And so, yes, welcome. So Afrofuturism, risen from a poet's son. As you know, and as what is stated, I just want to read just a blurb, but you know, this literary arts event explores the intersection of tech, science, and the arts, as well as the culture of the African diaspora. In times like these unprecedented times of uncertainty and living in shelter in place, what is the critical role of the Black poet, right? The radical Black artist, where there is a future of Black people, you know? We deal with multiple pandemics on the daily. And so here we are And what we hope to deliver in our work and the discussion later is the pathways in which Black writers and how they work with their art and through tech and science to reimagine, right, a future, creating a new society that includes Black people. And so we have a stellar killer lineup. We have James Cagney, Tureeda Mikell, Tongo-Eisen Martin, and yours truly. And yeah, I hope you enjoy. And so first up is this one and only poet, one of many, the James Cagney, poet from Oakland, California. His poems have been published in Poetry Daily, the Maynard, correct me if I butcher that, Civil Liberties United, and Silver Pinion, among others. His first book, Black Steel Magnolias and the Hour of Chaos Theory, which is an amazing book, is the winner of the PEN Oakland 2019 Josephine Miles Award. Woo! You know, I would have my copy. It's in boxes. I moved to Brooklyn. Yes. Get your copy of Black Steel Magnolias and the Hour of Chaos Theory. It's now available by Nomadic Press and can be bought and purchased at nomadicpress.org. And more of James' writing can be found at the Dirty Rat blog. I can put that in the chat box. All right, James, all you.
All right. Thank you, Thea. It's good to see you again. It's good to read with you tonight. And yeah, the book is available. I'm going to read, though, all new work tonight. And we start with a piece called Firecrackers. The sky shedding hot apples of light. Rapacious grins slashed across the throat of the sky. This in celebration of war, which we worship with tears in our eyes in this church of vampires. We obediently raise our faces to the falling dead at the appointed time, while our tithes of loyalty are looted from our back pockets. We are blindfolded in faith at this service where we slice open stolen cultural lambs on a pew of slot machines. Our prayers full of shrapnel, swarming to reconstruct the truth. These prayers are all processed catchphrases and repurposed ad campaigns. The last freestyle sampled from a dying mouth. Nightly, I check myself for bite marks, a rubber stamp of lips, proof of percussion in sucking. It's the brain's insistence on untying knots secured by the tongue. This isn't prayer dancing. It's response to infestation, a swarm of the wrong gods healing parishioners with fortune cookie astrology. We pray just to breathe in certain spaces, and you expect us to pay weekly to get suffocated. And this short poem was inspired by seeing a homeboy hold up a Bible. This is called The Flames of Genesis. Every night I am murdered in my sleep, only to awaken radiant and naked beneath dawn's monsoon of blood. This white Genesis occupied by the proudly illiterate after labeling the tree of knowledge a controlled substance. Every night, the bushes open its jaws of switches and my shift begins anew. The job in this garden of perennial thistles I'm forced to sharecrop? Name the bite style of each fresh animal rushing from the double-gated house above me. Describe the complex flavors in poisoned saliva, pepper, citrus, rust. Tag ivory monuments in bubble lettering, new words for being spat out and eaten again. Determine the fine tasting notes between mauling for recreation or slaughter triggered by fear. I am made in the image of illegally moving targets. My ribs open nightly, blossom of beef mushrooms, its aroma singing to the sky. Night opens its drooling jaws in praise of me. Whoa. Couple more. I've been working on this long project about my childhood memories and friendship, and I wanted to do 2 quick poems about that. First one is called Invention of Intimacy. We liked one another better than our fathers liked us. Our favorite stories were always myths involving vanquishing, soldiers eaten down to the bone, cities exploding to the joy of waltzing monsters, wrestlers locking, cradling, adjusting another's will, mechanics of pain. We kickstarted together once we realized blood had flavor, things with aroma, a plastic action figure, a ribbon of ripped fabric, a golden thigh, a spray of hair, its bushy rabbit, the soft medicinal roux of a tongue tracing, folding, Greco-Roman pantomimes. Touch me like you're blind. My ribs, my spine rhyme in braille. Punctuation in hair, tiny commas, stuttering periods on sentences left incomplete. Thought bubbles, hiccuping ellipses. Pretend it's a joke toppling you into tickles. On the tarot card, the Tower, 'twas a joke sent everything tumbling. Is this too inside, like warm clothes being seasoned for laundry? Red briefs, rare interior, scalding broth, spilling, spraying, springs, droplets. Boys armed with flowers, promoted to guns or swords, beaten senseless on the fence post, dancing dirty, auditioning for hell, nasty as shovels for ditches or spoons still needing to be licked. This has no title. Boys eat gravel, spit lit matches, first tattoos of rusted metals, bitter coins of tongue scabs, peeled skin bananaed back into place. Born clean from my mother, daily I dress myself in mud and axle grease, fish skin and coyote blood. Birds see me as the herald of death, kicking the confinements of silence. I dent every frame, crack every shell, test every system, even this cluster of nerves, the last on earth. If nothing gets tested, how will we know anything works? I perfectly dismantle anything unbroken, break land speed records on my Schwinn. Bionic with skill, I can fly. This body awarded with stitches. Every weekend, I am thrown together again in my father's Golgotha. Says he brought me here and wants his money's worth. And his word is bond, not sorry. He thumped sorry words out of my mouth, words I suck too hard like bad candy. He says, love makes men weak. Save that word for when you start your first fire, nobody can put out. And finally, if I'm allowed, this is a poem that came out this week. It's pretty short. This is called House of Slams and Hollers. And I dedicate this to a long gone uncle who I just thought about this week, actually. Who occupies the storefront houses at the crossroads? Shotgun houses like abandoned churches. One house slouched behind the musty aroma of trees. Windowsill radio chatters like a bird on caffeine. The living room smells swampy with ashes and bottle caps. Kitchen of vintage graveyard shift coffee. Boiled viceroys. Cicadas with exoskeletons of brandy and chickens chained in the backyard. Night turns over, haunted with moths. Air cooled with shuffled decks and howling hounds missing hell. The methane of certain ghosts gets drawn like window shades, dealt in, poured shots at this place where the road crosses its legs like a gentleman. Here lies the uncharted territories of some blues, stigmata blues, razor blade blues, blues for lips just out of reach, blues screaming blouses of plaster down bedroom walls. Choirs of apocalypse blues ignite the red wicks of their tongues, sing harmony to calm Bluegill River for Saturday's baptism of hot lead. Dawn rises with fire on its mind, takes off its top hat. Names smile from his mouth in comets, false crosses. Anything not already on the ground, holding on, praying, done grabbed a guitar and a shotgun and ran. And that's that. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much, James. Oh gosh, this would be like the time where I would give you a hug and I would do anything to just feel your hug. That was power. That was pure fire. Thank you.
Thank you, my love. Thank you.
Wow. I dropped links, y'all. Purchase this book, Black Steel Magnolias in the Hour of Chaos Theory. And I'm looking forward to what's next. Ooh, keep it coming. All right. So next we have Tureeda Mikell, author of Synchronicity, the Oracle of Sun, that came out this year and was also robbed of a book launch book release tour. And this book was put out by Nomadic Press. So Tarita, one and only story medicine woman, poet, instructor, Qigong energy therapist, award-winning poet, educator, is director of Tree of Life Health Literacy Project, published nationally and internationally. She published over 60 at-risk student anthologies throughout 4 countries in the San Francisco Bay Area. Was Ethnotech, oh gosh, Nuwa International. My apologies, Tarita. Storytelling Delegate in Beijing, China, October 2018. Was delegate for a national and international writing project. Tarita has been called an activist for holism, word magician, and woman of truths, hell-bent on asserting life. She has introduced renowned poets and writers such as The Last Poets, Amiri Baraka, Marvin X, and a host of other established writers and poets. Her recent publications include Black Gold, the anthology, Reflections, in collaboration with Emmy Award-winning artist James Gales, and the 20-year anniversary of Drum Voices Review, Volume 17. Bottom line, listen to this woman. She draws upon the other lives as a nurse, lab tech, a psychiatric institution. This is a long-ass bio, my apologies. She's the author of Synchronicity, the Oracle of Sun. Please take it away, Tarita.
Thank you so much, Thea. And it's, I have this, it's on. Yes, it's the Oracle of Sun Medicine.
Oh, my apologies.
Yeah, not a problem, not a problem. Wow, I am honored to be among such gifted poets and the talent of wordsmiths. There's so many throughout the Bay Area, and I'll just get right to it. Moyuba, Fefe Egun. We stand on the shoulders of our ancestors. Dr. Ben Yakanan, East African professor, said, if you believe the Snowy's Ox story to be true, it explains why you are in the condition you are in today. Details derail liberation. Rolling up on a big wheel's revelation, the epiphany, somebody's manifest destiny, a theory discovered waiting to be real. Compared to what? Whose liberty do we trust? Who be the judge, the adjudicator, the mediator, the referee between the Father, Son, and his ghost fantasy? I don't hear a woman mentioned in this trilogy. Is she the ghost? Heard Freedom ring at JoJo's house the other day, singing with Mickey's monkey. Dum da la 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 la. Derailing emancipation, crippling insights of human consideration, negotiating peace. Which peace? Who'll be the umpire to decide which side of the hominem bread sliced is buttered? Details derail harmonized views, argues well against them all, manufactures consent rules, handpicks host, surge hegemonic milk toast, infuses sheep shit in shallow water, tells us, try it, you'll like it. Like Mikey, he ate everything. With Hollywood views, blues, alternative facts sold on TVs, news racks, tracking nouns, verbs, conjured words, coining acronyms for dollars, 1% minority authors, the good decision. Supplying fresh cow patties sprinkled with powdered sugar, exceeding olfactory's threshold, specializing in PTSD wormholes. Breath, mass, drops, scopes. Strung out on fairy tale dope, Jack falls down, breaks his ground, and Jill comes running after, laying, you have been clown fool, but I got you. Don't worry about the future. Pharma got drugs to numb, son. Details derail sense. Generations hooked like fish on illusion of inclusion, sublime dish. You too can be a human crucifix. Want to be like Jesus? Jesus for sale, Jesus in jail, Jesus on the corner, Jesus needs bail, Jesus executed past the plate, derails, sunflowers, bees. ARC covenant with SUN sun biology in favor of sadistic seats, AI viral 5 technology. Details deck necks with boughs of folly. Effing with thoracic melody, hearts freeze in lyricidal symphony, trafficking mind, body, and soul, 2 seconds from frostbite control, sticking tongues to flagpole, pledging allegiance with dependence tagged one nation underdog with liberty and justice for all. Sit, heal, stay, obey, unconditionally, no responsibility, love your enemy, you're in me. Get out. Judge not, say what? Some said they'd name names in protest of those trying to break their sex and wreck their nest. Others said, chill, be still, hear, see, and speak no evil. Details derail metaphysical tones, metaphysical bone, thought sin if hypervigilance is sown. And the people bifurcated in fear of C9 funk affliction, dropped judgment, watched suicide, hunger, homelessness, police murders, and addictions increase. Racial narcissists deliver totalitarian disease. Trust it will decrease critical think. With teary eyes asking why, Lord, did you say physician heal thyself? How can we heal if we can't judge the cards you've dealt? Can you play leapfrog? Water getting hotter now. Where you gonna jump? Which ark got your covenant? And then the next piece kind of follows through with the arc. Warm summer nights, stardust memories, birth kin to kitchen, like puppet, hand ascends to doorknob, turns clockwise, opens new dimensions, feet step onto balcony under Big Mama Papa's canopy, eyes wide upon starlight jeweled night. I need not die to own heaven's delight. Night blooming jasmine signals olfactory. Head bows reverently, looks up again. Left hand rests over heart. Right-handed lifts, points inside ensure luminescence. Top fingertip, starlight blazes across sky. Head bows again, why? What am I to know? Who forced me out the door? How did I know starlight's time of arrival? Cloaked in midnight, star's DNA strings seize my body, pulls head like a marionette to sky. Teapot beings gaze back. Can they do that? I can feel them. Should I know them? Seems they know me. The great mother father said, we are all relatives in this living room. What do they want of me? Why can't I remember? Did churchman's worship blast stars' memory, purpose from my eyes? Shh, elder whispers, listen. First tell me why they haunt me, I ask. What agency demands I not read their deed of trust? Which ark, by whose covenant, double crosses my sensory? Who am I, this me in me, that stares at them twinkling? What I in me knows their soul? What glow sewn to bone does heart see? Why did copper, carbon, iron, nitrate burst pairs in me, breathe breath in me, clothe the Holy Ghost name in me? Earth's living waters is my home. Why have I forgotten lessons of this throne? Why do tides rise, carrying mysteries I cannot hide? And this next piece. Genocide. Fannie Lou Hamer said, memory is an insurance policy against loss. Randall Robinson said, the cruelest thing you can do to a people is take their memory, take their memory, take their memory. August 2015, Saturn's Day, daybreak, soul wakes, eyes zoom, scans room, stops, looks at a book title, Facing Bed, claiming earth, race, rage, rape, and redemption by Hakeem Madhubuti. Book stares. I glare, remembering something when 27 bones go behind that scene and picks up another title exposing, we charge genocide. Crime of government against the Negro people. 242-page petition delivered to the United Nations by Eleanor Roosevelt, wife of former President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Paul Robeson, civil rights activist, signed in 1950. Memory is an insurance policy against loss. Memory is an insurance policy against loss. The cruelest thing you can do to a people is take their memory. How did I forget? Spirit says, look up, we charge genocide on the net. Found Sandra Bland's mother's Facebook page. We charge genocide. Day later, a Native American event, table displays. We charge genocide. We charge genocide. We charge genocide. 3 days after, attend Tongo-Eisen Martin's book signing titled, We Charge Genocide 2. Memory is an insurance policy against loss. Memory is again an insurance policy against loss. The cruelest thing you can do to a people is take their memory, take their memory, take their memory. Then remembered, 1981, James Baldwin saying, something very brutal must be said about this great melancholy nation of ours. And if you don't believe me, you can ask the Indians. The intentions of this country's government has always been genocidal. Then remembered a year later what Kwame Ture said. Education in this country makes you stupid, but what is worse, it makes you arrogant in your stupidity. The revolution is coming whether you want it or not. It is coming whether you want it or not. We must be politically prepared for what is coming. And when 2006 arrived, 55 years later, after the first petition of We Charge Genocide was signed and delivered, the late great President Hugo Chavez of Venezuela addressed the UN stating, the hegemonic pretensions of the American empire are placing at risk the very survival of the human species. We continue to warn you about this danger, and we appeal to the people of the United Nations and the world to halt this threat, which is like a sword hanging over our heads. And this one nation under God that despises life answered, and think not I come to bring peace on earth but a sword. Memory is an insurance policy against loss. Memory is an insurance policy against loss. The cruelest thing you can do to a people is take their memory, take their memory, take their memory.
Woo!
And the last,
You have one time, is the last one a short one?
Yeah.
Okay.
In the bee. Breath in the bee, with gin we sing. Black baba-loom boom, ba bebop, eardrop dreams. Translucent rings, reverent effervescent feathers, favor raven magic. Tether star shine, glitter dark red, yellow, green, purple gold mine. Dance spiral rolls round root. Tally ground wire imbues remembering. Seeds deed, drum, heart, lung, tongue, rhythm sung, long time gone. Revolutions, evolutions, beat plants a seat, rock steady beats, waves, sign, moonshine, mounts, magic, mystery. Bring back the honeybees, please, and swing low, my sweet chariot. Let us ride home. Heaven has thrown us in this throne of hallelujah parallel strings, orchestrating DNA helix springs, springing up children, prophets circulating circuitries, generating generations, yin yang prophecies. Radicals radiating Ishioluwa, Kulebacho. The word Nomo will not be destroyed. In the B Jin sing, G-force spiraling, cannot gainsay nor resist the gravity of matter. Thank you.
Okay, my apologies, Tarita. I was like, oh, amazing. Wow, just so sonically dense and just pure medicine. Thank you. Thank you. That is, my soul is fed. And again, my apologies, I wasn't sure. And just that last piece, very deep. All right, just keeping it moving. We have another poet in the house. He was mentioned in Tureeda's set. I wonder who that person is. It's here. James Baldwin is with us always, but one is right there. Tongo-Eisen Martin, author of Heaven is All Goodbyes, City Lights 2017. He was born in San Francisco and earned his MA, his master's at Columbia University. He's the author of Someone's Dead Already, that was published by Bookstores Press 2015, and was nominated for a California Book Award, and Heaven is All Goodbyes, City Lights 2017, which received a 2018 American Book Award and a 2018 California Book Award, and was named a 2018 National California Booksellers Association Poetry Book of the Year, woo, and was shortlisted for the 2018 Griffin International Poetry Prize. Get it, Tongo? That's what's up. He is also an educator, an organizer, as many of you all know, whose work centers on issues of mass incarceration, extrajudicial killings of Black people, and human rights. And he has taught at detention centers around the country and at the Institute for Research in African American Studies at Columbia University. He lives in San Francisco. Tongo, all you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate everybody. First, I must apologize to the souls of the house because I'm wearing the cheekbones of the mask on me. Like a pill bottle whose name is yours, name tagged on the side of a factory of risk. I mean, teeth of the mask now. Back of the head of the mask now. A new phase of anti-anthropomorphism, fending for real faces, stuck with one of those cultures that believes I chose this family. I'm not creative, just the silliest of the revolutionaries. My blood drying on my only jacket, the police state psychic middlemen evangelizing for the creation of an unmasked as an unmedgar, blood of a lamb less racialized or awesome prison sentence, good guy, elder abuse hired for the low, dog-eat genius while a right angle is made between a point on a Louisiana plantation and a 5-year-old's rubber ball, 3 feet high and falling like a deportee plane to complete my interpretation of garden variety genocide. I'm small talk about loving your enemies a little more realistically, about paper tigers and also gold. I need my left hand back. Broke my neck on the piano key, found paradise in a fist fight. Maybe I should check into the Cuba line. Watching the universe's last metronome, some call Black Jacobins, they just wait. These religions will start resigning in a decade or two, some colorfully, some transactionally, in a cotton Gothic society, class betrayal gone glassless. I mean, ironically, my windows started fogging over too as I was trying to figure out which Haiti would get me through the winter, which poem houses souls with socialist breakthroughs like taking 10 steps back to finally the stillness among families. I mean, a John Brown biography would take a bow. I'd be up next to introduce Prosser the monk. I remember childhood. I remember the word childhood being a beginning. Scribbling on an amazing grace, I rented this body from some circumference of slavery. Remember being kicked out the Midwest, strange fruit theater, lithium and circuses, like-minded stomachs, the ruling class blessing their blank checks with levy foam, with opioid tea, sentient dollar bills yelling to each other, pocket to pocket, cello stands in the precincts for accompanying counter-revolutionaries. My mother raised me with a simple pain. A poet loses his mind, like the room has weather. A first girlfriend, gravity. You know, difference between me and you is the madness wants me forever. A pair of apartments defining both my family and political composure, books behind my back, bail money paved into the streets, playing euphoria cliche, bracing for the medicine's recoil, sharing a dirty deli sandwich with my friends. Black Jacobins, underground topography of a grandmother's hands. I mean, psychology of the mask now. Teeth of the mask again. I go to the railroad tracks and follow them to the station of my enemies. A cobalt-toothed man pitches pennies at my mugshot negative all over the United States. There are toddlers in the rock. I see why everyone out here got in the big cosmic basket and why blood agreements mean a lot and why I get shot back at. I understand the psycho-spiritual refusal to write white history to take the glass freeway, white skin tattooed on my right forearm, ricochet sewage near where I collapsed into a rat-infested manhood. My new existence is living graffiti. In the kitchen with a lot of gun cylinders to hack up. House of God in part, no cops in part. My body brings down to Christmas. The new bullets pray over blankets made from old bullets. Pray over the 28th hour next beauty mark. Extrajudicial Confederate statue restoration. The waistband before the next protest poster. Hey, by the way, time is not an illusion, Your Honor. I will save your deaths for last. You are witty, Your Honor. You're moving money again, Your Honor. It is only raining one thing. Non-white cops. And prison guard shadows reminding me of spoiled milk floating on an oil spill. The neighborhood making a lot of fuss over its demise. The new lake for a Black Panther party. Malcolm X's ballroom jacket slung over my son's shoulder. The figment of the village. A new noose to a new white preacher. All in an abstract painting of a president. They bought slavery some time, didn't it? The tantric screeches of military bolts and election Tuesday cars. A cold-blooded study in leg irons. Proof that some white people have actually fondled nooses. And sundown couples made their vows of love over opaque piece plastic and bold action audiences. You know, the Medgar Evers second is definitely my favorite law of science. Fondle noose clippings and primitive Methodists. My arm changes imperialism. Simple policing versus structural frenzy. Elementary school script versus even wider white spectrum. Artists bleeding in the challenge of watching civilians think. Terrible rituals they have around the corner. They let their elders beg for public mercy. I'm gonna go ahead and sharpen these kids' heads and the arrows myself and see how much gravy spills out of family crest. Modern fans of war with their t-shirt poems and t-shirt guilt, and me having on the cheapest pair of shoes on the bus, I have no choice but to read the city walls for signs of my life. I talk facing away from the dead. They replaced me with the change in my pocket, a penny that's yet to be invented. They say, you have to know how to cut a throat on the way to cutting a throat. After sleeping on a mattress made from 2 garbage bags of clothes, I became content with the small gestures of plantation fires. Playing with couch ashes, I realized how weird the universe was. It exists in so many places, so many random things that interrupts me while I'm trying to dream. Like your clay correspondence, Lord. To be transparent, I have 20 books next to an old man giving advice at the beginning of a revolution. I've really done it, Lord. Explored the mumbles of my mind, explored what's naturally there, and I found no brainwashing. I found Africa, Lord. I have a future. It takes place in the diasporic South. I have morning possessions, modern militancy. I mean, windows to the South. I'll walk on a missile for food. I guess you will not want flowers for a few years, Lord. Will I be tied face to face with the country I murdered? Merge with us, Lord. Our old metal versus new metal. Our old metal versus a pool of meandering imperialist faces. You know, multiculturalism of sorts. The dead replaced me with a comedian's chest cavity instead of a chest cavity held tight. It takes a violent middleman for me to talk to myself. Stories that travel through other people's stories. You know, a song about a song, a hemisphere about a hemisphere. Stories that travel through a conquered poet. Hey, my mother remembers Africa, Lord. She killed on behalf of you, Lord. I wore a machete all winter and no one asked me what it meant. I read 1,000 books in front of the world. You know, what I do is fight poems and sleep through decadent San Francisco prayer circles. They watch people play for post-working class associative surfaces, or recreations of a governor's desk. Ruling class art, a utility plan, find a sociopathic bureaucrat. A day that some white people scare even easier. TV in a basket, next to a ceramic baby, wearing ceramic armor, musket progeny fantasizing through the art of the poor. Their trendy latches locked before God, black car hunted down like a dog, and hand over my friends, Lord. Lord, I think I'm going to die in a war. Unelected white people in my small house like a blues song of no spiritual effect, a dollhouse H-bomb, a pony show near dead bodies, apartheid weddings that go right, apartheid white people who give birth to mathematicians, the spiritual continuity of barracks and police stations, a chemical interpretation of a Sunday trip to church smells in their pockets, a river mistaken for a talking river, no autobiography outside of small personal victories of violence and drug use, made in the image of God's trinkets what white abolitionists confided in their children about, chemical assurances that they will switch from black artist to white artist, black guy to white guy, black worker to white worker. You know, I think about you cautiously, Lord. In the same way I think about my childhood, Lord. Fox Soul Friday nights, most of life is mute. A comedian points out a planter's field to a priest. King Sugarcane, King Cotton, King Revolutionary, the Bala Central. Containing all modes of shallow introduction, introducing an unlisted planter class, speaking about fevers and balance sheets, and reassuring the masses that we can figure out our fathers later. You know, a priest took my mother lightly, Lord. Stood in front of parishioners, re-raveling fantasies about black art. Priest reading confidently before I broke him and broke his parallel. After the day, I've never been a poet before. A little brother watches his big brother's friends. They lean rifles on sheltered walls that agree with me and call it literature. It's a simple matter, this revolution thing. To really lie to no one. To keep nothing godlike. To write a poem for God. Thank you.
Woo, to write a poem for God. Thank you, Tongo. Yes, 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 yes. Woo. Fire. Thank you. That was very deep, and yeah, definitely needed to hear all of those words. All right, so just checking the time. I will thanks everyone for being here, and to the poets who've read so far. This has just been an exceptional evening, and so I have a few poems that I would like to offer. And then let's segue into a brief dialogue, panel discussion. I have a few questions and just generate discussion. And then we'll wrap it up. And if you have any questions for those who are attending, please send your questions my way. And we'll see if we can bring it up. And so, as Jane said way earlier in the beginning of the event, my debut poetry collection, Unearth the Flowers, came out recently in June, and it's a first. It's a first. And so I would like to just read a couple poems from this, and then deliver some newer work that really has been speaking to me lately. And I'm working on the second collection, and so of course I'm like already excited to read that. But here. Behind years of cement, weak walls, loud bedrooms, protea, ruptures open, stops the erasure of my bliss, the body snatching, killing of our people. We scream, I can't breathe. Witnesses detained, footage goes viral. from where ghosts play checkers with pistols, where ancestors used bare hands to kill, where the thought, kill yourself, is convincing. Protea breathes life. Petals of no separation, Africa rests near the apex of her stem. She extends her arms, smiles wide. Cowrie shells and purple gums guard the children's quest for freedom. Aposematic skin wards off bullets, uniforms, judges, politicians, plea bargains, sterilizing the nation. No resistance, Protea transcends, blossoms in the trenches of struggle, abolishes slavery, ankles untied. Afro, her halo, each follicle a soul, marches to the front line, ignites into a crimson funeral pyre. She burns the hands who lost control. Glass pipes and bottles, doors locked shut with no escape, the terror once found in my eyes. Protea remains, unfolds, dances with the flames, chanting black and breathing, black and breathing, black and breathing. One day, you'll read the lines on my face, know the lawlessness under my skin, in my bones, and you'll know the silence each crevice holds, from the black of my blood to the plaque behind molars, the scars of finding gold. You'll see me shine like a glass case of knives, and you'll know the sharpness of each tooth, how children speak with knotted tongues, how men in power lost control of their hands, how bystanders became politicians. I tore skin, ran across the plains, sought the Pacific, rested near redwoods. I am the flowers of west wind. Newer stuff. Aftermath. This city is vicious, expressionism. The lyric of a sky so high, clouds vomit in the line for more. Where trans women hustle with grace and skyscraper men are a dying breed. Could you ever stand in such beauty? On the asphalt of cops so bored they play with fireworks, are left with toy guns to shoot in pig pens. People carve initials on trees, once forced to hold the lynch, like bodies swaying away from defeat. Flames now sway for reparations. This city is a slow suicide, a last breath found in a pill bottle. She disappeared, was found dead, face down. The houseless and tense remember her name. They say the city killed her as they lay on crushed newspapers, promises for more housing to rectify the homelessness, the crisis. She was once alive. Airplane bottles. Roll to the sewers, to the mouths who shoved small balloons into the crevices of each missing tooth. The crack epidemic hit and we've never been the same since. We've been torn, cold, and loose. In these streets, daily, the precarious tip of tongues eclipse midday sunny afternoons. In an inkwell of a starless sky, fractured, stained glass, imprisons the dance souls would make, if free. No one could hear the cries through swirling smoke. No one could hear the muffled racket of a wind, a shot through the lungs. No one could hear the breath blotting out defeat. Names escape from the time lost. And I have a few more short ones. This is the end. Her breath is numbered, like black bodies in the streets, like children stolen by uncontrollable hands, like wildflowers on newly bought property. She is dying slowly. She is tired. How can we brace ourselves for the impact of a fallen tree taken by wind? She will shatter the windshields of gentrifiers. She will scream so loud ears will bleed of white babies who gawk at the blacks because they've never seen someone black before in their neighborhood. She will burn to ashes a city money hungry, extinguish enforcement of bus fare, overcharging the diminishing working class, the survivors on Social Security, the ones struggling who still make too much money. Her death is another apartment building caught on fire. But she says, I'm gonna close with this. She says, we're dreams walking in the world, on the land of red skin, red blood, on the land of a civil war. She says we will walk on rifles for freedom, on missiles for food, on the hymns of spirituals humming the cries of our children, killed, their parents detained, pried away from their homes. We will use our words as grenades, demolish all borders. We will rise with our ancestors who summoned us. We will transcend this grim, grime world to live. So that, thank you. So that wraps up the poetry for the evening. Again, thanks James, Tarita, Tongo for being here, being present. And now I just want to hear from all of y'all. And I too can pitch in, but I'm also like facilitating mode. Of what is the critical role of the Black radical poet during these times? Folks of the African diaspora, right? Like we are the global majority. And yet we are constant in face of these multi-layered pandemics, right? Where there's a virus, but there's also a gun, right? Systemic killings and lynchings by police and systemic like white supremacy, vigilante violence. And so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the role of the artist and what we do to remain connected, seen, heard, and felt, even under quarantine. It's a lot there. I just want to hear your thoughts. And don't be shy unless I should call on people like where's your hands? James.
Right up. You know, I had to make sure I wasn't still muted. You know, Thea, ever since I first started, my thing has been to tell the truth in the work, to tell the truth, because I wondered what makes people come out back in the old days to poetry readings. What makes an individual come out to come see us and support us and not really be artists themselves, but want to support our voices? And I feel like that quote from William Carlos Williams, the idea that people come to poetry for the information, for the news that they actually can't get anywhere else, is some true stuff. It has always meant more to me when a artist shows me what their heart is and tells us what really and truly is going on. And I feel like that's essential for us, even more so now, because so much lies and half-truths are being purposefully broadcast in our faces. And I think that it is essential for us more than ever to be honest in the sort of conversations that we now engage with people, I guess, like now on race from this point forward. It's important to sort of swallow our own ego and pride and allow for healing between people just speaking from one heart to another. So I don't know. It's every road in that answer to me is just for us as artists and writers is just to tell the truth now, you know, more than ever. I don't know. It's a lot.
Yeah. Thank you. And I guess I'll probably do a quick time check. It's like, we have like roughly 10 minutes. But I hear that in terms of telling the truth and bringing also too, like the observations, a lot of memory that was spoken of Tureeda's work, you know, a lot of like even familial dynamics and the invention of intimacy. I love that. Like that is all elements that really bring us to the future in many ways. I mean, I'm curious, and there was mention too, like of media and tech. And Tureeda, I would like to hear if you have anything to say as well. I also have questions from Q&A. Yes.
Oh, but sure. Just piggybacking off what James said. You know, yeah, there's been. I think most poets go after truth. How can we, we hear it, but then somehow there's some piece that's not getting to the public we find ourselves in touch with, and we want to somehow share that. So I find myself going to all kinds of poetry readings, Black folks, Asian, white, just everywhere, because we're all on the same planet here, experiencing the same stuff. And, so why, how are you dealing with, us being, just marginalized, my sons, my husband, my uncles just being shot for no reason. And it took me a minute to just address coming here today, watching a father being arrested, receipt in hand, buying a bike for his son. He paid for. They would not tell him why he was being arrested. And I said, wow, this is some 1984 stuff. It's like that scene in 1984 that says, can you just give me my chocolate? If you can tell me what I did was wrong, it's like that energy that's there. Why is there this disconnect? And, they are a totalitarian disease. And I do bring these things up because of the nursing background and working as a lab tech in a psychiatric institution, and, having to discern the difference between a psychic and a sick psychic. And there are many people that shouldn't have jobs today. Like, woo! But anyway, I won't go on and on, but yes, there's all those reasons why we feel the need to write, and just being true to ourselves and needing to share it and listen to others. And it's just this feeding that I feel is like our new church. It's just, there's just so much. And thanks again, Thea, for bringing us together. I know there's so many amazing poets in the Bay Area and throughout the country that I've been, had the privilege to just listen to or work with. Just giving thanks.
Thanks, Tureeda. Okay, so I'm checking out some of these questions, and so I'm wondering if I should just initially assign a poet per question and then go from there, and we can just these can be quick answers. I mean, maybe more than one word, but for instance, Linda has asked, what do you all see? I'll just paraphrase, but what's the connection between art and activism? Where do you see that, especially in regards to racial and social justice? Bringing activism into art into activism.
I think one of art's jobs is to start the conversation, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. That's why I didn't read the poem regarding the Black Panthers, but because of the accusation that all we were concerned with were guns and violence, rather than actually working in the clinic to do a job that we saw the hospitals and clinics were not doing for us. That needed to be written about, especially seeing how they contacted me all these years after my service in that Panther clinic. It's up to us, and those who feel they can pick up that pen and have something to share, to connect with our environment. And there's so many different ways, like Dr. Frances Cress Welsing say, there isn't one subject or system in this country that hasn't addressed something dealing with the way we are treated as a people. They look at that and say, well, let's turn it this way, or let's do it this way. And people who have studied linguistics and English understand, the linear and the circular development that goes on between languages and different cultures. So there's so much to address. I've never understood why people had a writing block.
I hear you on that one, but
right.
It can be real. And we could, oh my gosh, that is a whole other conversation. Tongo, putting you on the spot, man. Connection between art
right.
and activism.
Well, I think kind of to the, you know, to the also to the first question, where a Black radical poet stands, or what functions we can provide. I think, you know, a revolutionary process is one in which people reabsorb the power that has been alienated from them, right? So all of our powers are basically in ruling class hands right now. Our political power, our social power, our power of medicine, our military power. We give it to these we vest it in these intermediaries, who, because they serve the other side of the contradiction, ultimately end up abusing us with the power that we hourly give away. Where the poet kind of enters in a groovy way is the minute I write a line down, at least the power of that kind of productivity, of creative productivity, instantly belongs to me again. I reabsorb it immediately. And so living that close to a process of reabsorbing power, even if you just call it the power of naming things, the power of defining things, the power of identifying things, which goes a lot to messing over consciousness when your own identity is alien to you or imposed on you. So us being right there on the, you know, in this interesting kind of almost like quantum front row to this process, though, you know, of course, you know, a poem doesn't stop a bullet. There's still there's a lot that can be synthesized from that familiarity with reabsorbing power. So I would say, you know, it's from that understanding that I'd say we begin to codify actual revolutionary processes and just keep it in terms of like getting our power back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what's up. Yeah, I hear you on the power. Like, it's hella true. You know. Ooh, let me see. Okay. Yeva asked, what poetry are each of you poets reading now, or non-poetry? I guess writing, period. Are we reading, basically?
I saw what Yeva said, where can we see each of these poets next? Or, but I don't see that other, oh, it says open. Wait a minute.
I think to quickly answer, Alexis Pauline Gumbs is a Black feminist, Afrofuturistic, and at moments, honestly, a speculative writer, poet, prose poet. She wrote M Archive, which is a great Afrofuturistic book that I've been reading. And then this most recent anthology of contemporary Black poetry, Furious Flower, I want to say, came out. So many authors, including I think Bay Area poets, Raina Leone, and a few others. There's just, I'm gonna miss all of them, but try to name them all off the top. Those are like 2 books that I've been chewing on lately.
Yeah, I've been doing like a lot of reading too. I fell in love with John Murillo's book, Contemporary American Poetry. And I've just been like kicking up my own reading and going through my own library and getting some stuff from bookstores. So I've never been able to see a staging of Gem of the Ocean by August Wilson, but I just finished that like this morning, to be honest. Did Fledgling by Octavia Butler. And there's some other stuff that I've been trying to go through. Dick Gregory's autobiography from the 60s and stuff. Yeah, I'm trying to kick up my reading and make sure I'm finishing a book on a daily basis in a way.
Oh, that's great. I wish I had that kind of time, but I've been looking. I have my one side of my bed and around it is just all these books I tend to go back and forth in. I have been looking at Toni Morrison's book, in self-regard, and just there's something about the process of what she developed in her writing and how she developed it and what was in her space to develop what came to her, and it was metaphysical, it was spiritual, and there was just so much coming out of her. And then I have Mary Baraka next to her, and yeah, because we go way back. I mean, I'm looking at, you know, the people that have come through my house, just, you know, the discussions here. Just I'm looking at what things he had discussed and things that we may have had a difference on, but it was about family. It was about how do you secure family? How do you keep them from killing our family? Just all of these details of things and how he went about saying that and sharing that. And wow, Hakeem Adabuti, Race, Rage, and Redemption. I'm going through things, and then found this book that's a very old book by, oh gosh, his last name is Willard, but the book is called The Negro Around the World. And somebody needs to check that book out, because what they have to say about the Negro around the world and the fear the European has of us growing exponentially every 50 years, 20 degrees above and 20 degrees below the equator. There's already, I mean, it's like, he's looking at what that is, how his children or great-grandchildren will feel if there are so many people of color surrounding them, and what needs to be done in that regard. I mean, that's something to pay attention to. So what level of genocide takes place? Are you in agreement with it, or is it a subliminal tone taking place where you're being told to do something that if you knew you were being told, would you do it?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. It's deep, yeah.
It is. And the books, they keep, you know, because I keep reviewing. Yeah.
So, okay, I have a final, sorry to cut, I'm a little jarring shift. Hold on, let me just spotlight this video. And so, as we come to a close for the evening, I'd like to hear from each of you, including myself, I'll speak, but 2 questions. So we're gonna just go down the list, right? James, Tarita, Tongo, what has really helped you grow in your art form? So what has helped you grow as a poet? And where can we see you next? I'm combining Fatim and Yeva's questions. So what has really helped you grow as an artist? And where can we see you next? Or reach you? Where can we read you and see you next? Want to highlight the video? And that's gonna mean.
I keep thinking about that, and I'm like, the only thing that really pushes me as an artist and a poet, and that really encourages me, quite literally, is reading. I guess because one of my goals is always to enrichen the language that I use, because sometimes I feel guilty in either writing a similar poem over and over, or kind of relying on, keep going back to the same kind of images just because I really, really like those pictures. And reading sort of opens my head in a lot of ways to alternative ways to tell a story and alternative approaches. I mentioned John Murillo's poetry collection earlier. And the reason that that really inspired me, he does a sonnet string of poems in the midst of that book that really triggered something in my head that demanded that I follow through with it and write. It kind of lit something up in my brain that I almost probably never would have thought of if I did not get my hands on that book. So to be honest, reading and paying attention is what opens me up and inspires me as a writer. And what's next? To be honest, I'm doing a reading Thursday on Facebook. I'm not 100% sure where that is. But if you're my friend on Facebook, friend me or whatnot, but it's on Facebook somewhere. And after Thursday, I think I'm doing nothing, waiting for somebody else to ring my bell.
I'll find that link. Thanks, James. Tarita, you're up.
Okay.
Tarita, you're muted. You've been muted.
Okay, there.
We hear you now.
Okay, all right. No, it was doing its own line, like cutting it off. But anyway, okay. So yeah, I guess I still have my investigative news reporting kind of thing in me, because that's what I did after my nursing stint, and I'm working for the lab, and I would you know, you pick up information, you're reading the environment. I'm picking up information, even taking in from what my father, being a farmer, the whole, you know, sun, moon, stars, universe. You know, you read words, you read the sun, you read the moon, you read your environment, you're reading blood levels, you're reading, you know, the details of what is read is always something that brings me to what inspires me. It's like, and how they are all affected, and then I listen. There's this listening level and this sensory level to the listening that you know, it's like there's certain things you don't want to see take place again, that like a relative said, why would you ask a question like that? Because you're seeing the COD, or the cause of death, and it's always something that you want to be sure that it doesn't happen again. So you're looking at all these different things. The last time you saw the person is, and that's where you were trained in the hospital. What did you see last in that patient? You tend to carry that into your life. And so there's these things, and then you read poems. I sit down and listen to poetry, and there are certain things that I want to make sure the constant within the variable remains the same, and I don't want to get thrown off, too far off from the variable, and be clear about the constant of things. So that's been my thing, and what gets me writing, what gets, you know, the concern of what kind of health, what kind of story medicine can I bring forth and share, and listen and read. I have more books than I can I have to read something each night before I go to bed. I'll be with Night Boat next Thursday, a week from this coming Thursday. And oh gosh, is her name Rochelle? I'm trying to remember her name, but I know that I'll be with another author from Nightboat and myself. We'll be talking about our books and reading from the books about, you know, more about the process. Yeah.
Awesome. I just shared the link in the chat box that is available. And Tongo, you're up.
Just writing way more than I thought I could. Writing a lot every day.
Right. That too. Yeah.
Whatever you think, you know, whatever length of time passes to where you start to feel uncomfortable, you should write like 4 times more than that daily. That's what's growing my craft up. I mean, a whole gang of other things and what everybody else said. I don't know what I'm doing next, but you know, you can get with me on Instagram at _Tongo Gara is TONGOGARA _ Tongo Gara. That's actually what's on my birth certificate. Fun fact. So yeah, it just hit me on there, and then I will do the research for you and let you know what's going on.
Awesome. Cool. That's what's up. I'm on Instagram too. Yeah. Okay. All right. And I guess what has helped me grow my art form, experimenting with form and really falling in love with like sonnets, that syllabic sonnets, and then also too the duplex poem that Jericho Brown came out with in the tradition. That really kind of like stepped it up. And then traveling close to 3,000 miles away from San Francisco. So I think, yeah, getting ready to start this program, I think is going to help. Joining an MFA program can help grow, reinvigorate the process. But also, yeah, read, write. It's pretty simple. Oh, read, write, practice.
Agreed.
Yes, that's it. Read, write, practice.
Read, write, practice. That's it.
So many ways, yes.
Yeah, and then I have like some small scale stuff, like kind of visiting book clubs, like one tomorrow that's in Palm Springs. I'll be traveling Palm Springs tomorrow, quote unquote. But yeah, thank you again for all those that have stayed and listened and have asked questions. Yes, and thank you again to the poets, James Cagney, Tureeda Mikell, and Tongo-Eisen Martin.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for this, Thea. Much love to you.
Much love. Thank you. Thank you.
Can I also add my thanks from Litquake? You have really almost closed out our big lockdown series with grace and style, and so grateful. And this is the biggest event and the longest event, and people just didn't want to leave. They just wanted to hear more and more. So thank you to you, and thank you to MoAD, Museum of the African Diaspora, for co-presenting with us tonight. And have a fabulous evening, and keep writing, and keep the faith.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you too.
Thanks.
Thank you.